ABC News correspondent who was left the after-hours party to join us here. Good morning, Jason.
Yeah, oh, man, we've been partying all night. Me and Adele have been just throwing them back. She can drink, man. That woman can drink.
She can also restart a song. When was the last time somebody was mid-song and said, wait a minute, let me do it again?
Never, not that I know of, but this was her plan. So last year at the Grammys, she performed. If you remember, a microphone fell on the piano strings. It screwed her up. She hit some sour notes. She was kind of devastated by that. And she said a little bit later, she was interviewed by Ellen DeGeneres, and she said, if anything like that ever happens again, I'm starting over. And she made good on her promise last night. I'm still not exactly sure what happened. Some people say that she was off key, and that's maybe why she restarted. This was the tribute to George Michael, which was really important to her. Apparently, she was a big, big fan of his. And so she really wanted to get this right. So she was off key or something, and a minute into it, she just stopped and restarted and cursed, dropped an F-bomb,
right,
and then started up again.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's fantastic.
I don't have a big problem with it. It's a live show. People do things. Do it again. Why not? What's the big deal, right?
Well, and that's the fun of a live show and something like that. And it's interesting. I mean, forget everything else. It's just interesting to watch that happen. I mean, it's a kind of a slow motion train wreck on television, and it makes fantastic television. I mean, of all the performances last night, and I've got the show running in the background right now, and I'm forgetting that. Oh yeah, The Weeknd performed, Keith Urban performed, all these people performed. I forgot them as soon as it happened. You're not forgetting Adele's performance.
Can we talk about Bruno Mars' tribute to Prince, because that was off the charts?
That was fantastic, especially in comparison to Adele's tribute. With the Adele George Michael tribute, they picked a song that I think not a whole lot of people know, in Fast Love, and it was a very slow kind of arrangement. And then you go to the Prince tribute, and that was a celebration, man. Everybody in Staples Center was up on their feet, dancing. In the press room, we were all like bopping around and dancing. And the guy who had already performed that, earlier in the night, Bruno Mars, and did a great performance, and everybody loves him when he's at the Super Bowl or wherever, and he pops up on these shows, and he does this and blows everybody away, not only with his singing and dancing and choreographed stuff, his guitar solo, man, killed it. I had no idea he could play guitar that well.
I mean, Bruno Mars, I mean, he's got to be considered one of the giants of all time.
Absolutely, and I think he's only 5'3" or something like that. So, good for him. The guy is, I mean, his life has got to be charmed right now. I mean, his music does well, his tours do well. You never hear him about with a girlfriend or anything like that. So he's probably got a new girl every night. The guy's got a. I think he's so talented. You almost want to hate him, but then he's so nice, and then he does that smile, and then you gotta love him.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. Anything else? Any surprises? Any awards that? Well, I tried to watch Beyonce. I didn't understand any of it.
I don't think you're supposed to. I don't think I'm supposed to. I think that's part of the point. This album that she did, with Lemonade, and the songs and everything from it are a lot about black empowerment, female black empowerment, cultural expression, and things like that. And that's what last night's performance really was. For me, it didn't particularly move me, and the two songs she performed weren't the ones off the album that I knew or really liked. But a couple of women sitting next to me in the press room were almost in tears. They liked it so much. So it does appeal, and some other people do get it, and I understand that. Adele, when she won Album of the Year, got up there and Kanye'd herself and said, no, Beyonce deserves this. Beyonce's the one who deserves to win this, not me. So, it does speak to a lot of people. So I give it a lot of credit in that way. I just personally, and you, don't really understand it.
I thought James Corden, the host, was fantastic.
I thought, yeah, he was good. I think he's getting mixed reviews this morning. His opening, where he fell down the stairs in a pratfall thing, was kind of funny. But then he did some kind of rap number, which I didn't really care for. But then he's good. He's funny, he's talented, and he's quick. So he came back during the show, and when he could react to certain things that happened, like when the 21 Pilots guys, they took off their pants and accepted their award. James Corden came back after the next commercial with no pants on. So, it's funny. He can do stuff like that. And his carpool karaoke sing-along with Neil Diamond and everybody in the Staples Center doing Sweet Caroline, that was a fun moment as well. So I think he'll be back. He's a CBS guy, so I think we'll see him again.
I loved when the two guys, you mentioned it, the two guys won the award. It was a new pop artist or something, took their pants up and walked up and then told the story about the bet or the promise they made to each other. That's as good as it gets right there.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, this is 21 Pilots, and they've been around about, I think, a year or two now, rock duo. And they won for Best Pop Duo Group Performance for their song Stressed Out. But a couple of years ago, they were watching the Grammys in their underwear, as two guys might do, watching the Grammys on a Sunday night when you want to be a rock star, you want to be on that stage. And they said to themselves that night, if we ever get on that stage and win anything, we're going to accept in the same way we are right now, with our pants off, comfortable. So they won, and, immediately the buckles came off, the pants came down, and they got up on stage and accepted in their underwear, which is fantastic because you don't see that at the Oscars. So, it's fun that we can see something like that at the Grammys.
Yeah, I would like to find out why the two guys on a Sunday night were watching the Grammys with their pants off. That's an interesting story in and of itself.
You never did that? You never watched an award show with a friend with no pants?
I never invite.
Come on.
Hey, why don't you come over and we can watch the Grammys and take your pants off? No, Jason, I've never done that. I want you to know.
Okay.
All right.
I'll believe you.
Fair enough.
Fake news there.
Jason, back to the parties. Pick up the martini glass, and thanks for spending a couple minutes with us.
Anytime. Take care.
Jason Nathanson, ABC News correspondent, live from Los Angeles, who was there, watched the whole thing, the Grammy Awards. Play a little. Well, maybe you missed the car karaoke. I don't know if you know this. Sort of not very well known, but I was actually at the Grammys last night, and James Corden is a friend of mine, and he invited me to sing the karaoke. Listen to this.
Any other artists? Keith Urban, get in here. McGraw, come on, get over here. Come on, over you come. Come and get in. I mean, I figure since Neil Diamond's here, we've probably got the perfect song we could ever sing. Neil, what do you think?
I think we should do it.
All right, let's kick it off. Here we go with the Staples.
We all sang Sweet Caroline. It was great. Keith and I, we were hanging out. We were both wearing pants, though, when we were watching the Grammys a couple years ago. So it's nice enough to James Corden to give me a shout out there last night. 727, Big 550, KTRS.